All right, we are studying Colossians chapter 1. Hey, good morning, good evening, good afternoon, whatever time you're watching this. Middle of the night, I don't know. Here's the color code as we continue in Colossians chapter 1, verse 23. As we continue this, I just want to point out a little bit. You may be seeing some of the verses starting to show up. My handwriting is terrible. I don't know if you can read all those, but this is kind of how it starts to look as you go along. You're kind of making the connections. You're putting those notes in. And again, even in this, the reason I like to put these notes in the scriptures is for, future reference. But even in writing it, there's times when it's like, but it just brings up thoughts, because the more you think, the more you cross-reference, the more you mark and color, the more the scriptures just are in the forefront of your mind, and you're actually having to wrestle with it. And God is faithful to give you insight as you do that. Last time we were talking about Colossians 1:23, if indeed you continue in the faith, stable and steadfast, not shifting from the hope of the gospel that you heard. And then we go to this next phrase, which has been proclaimed in all creation under heaven, and of which I, Paul, became a minister. So when you look at that all which has been proclaimed, it has been proclaimed. Well, Matthew talks about that the end will come when all the world hears, talking about people. So it's like, well, the end hasn't come. So what is this talking about? What is this proclamation to all of creation, or to all creatures? It kind of refers back to kind of Romans 8. And if you're looking at notes, you'd write that down again, Romans 8, probably somewhere around 17 or 18 to 23 or 24 or something like that. Actually, put that question mark so you look it up. But it's talking about how the creation groans for the sons of God, the children of God, to be revealed. So when it's talking about this proclamation, that Christ actually has made it clear to all creation, and that there is this underlying gospel going forward, that there is a redemption coming. And so I tend to look at this, and it's been proclaimed in all creation under heaven by the Lord himself, by the coming of the Holy Spirit. There's a testimony to all creation that the redemption is coming, but we as people are given the privilege to participate in the work of the gospel, to proclaim God's goodness to us, to others, to offer them the salvation, to try to dissuade them from their own ways and persuade them towards God's way, and to make known the gospel to people so that they can be reconciled, so that they can have a relationship with Jesus, with God the Father through Jesus. And this is what Paul is. He's a minister. So we want to follow that example, and became a minister. So we want to administer to others through the gospel. This good news, the hope of the gospel, which we proclaim, just like I think the Holy Spirit proclaims to all creation. And actually, even when we proclaim the gospel, if it's not the Holy Spirit drawing him, if it's not God drawing people to himself, all our words are meaningless. And yet he makes his words meaningful by really working in people's hearts as we speak truth and love, as it talks about in Ephesians chapter 4. What is that? I think 15, Ephesians 4:15, where we speak the truth in love. That's the proclamation. But that Matthew passage, I don't want to forget that, so I got to write that down, Matthew. And see, I don't even remember what chapter that is, but that's how I remember that is preach all world. So preach all world, and then I'll look it up and try to find the reference. And sometimes you look that up in the engine, you can see that in videos that have been posted before. But anyways, that's the end of Colossians 1:23, and really kind of the end of this section, as the editors of the Bible have kind of put in those headings. Sometimes you need to ignore those and even ignore the verses and chapters, but hey, it's nice for recognition and kind of just seeing some of those things. But don't forget that this is all one letter, and it just continues. It doesn't start something new, but at least we're kind of done with a section. So we'll pick it up in Colossians 1:24 next time. God bless you guys. Thank you.